Today I'm in Saltcoats. When I was a kid, back in the early 70s, Saltcoats was a place that Glaswegians came to for their holidays. It was a lot different than it is now. There's not a lot here now. The place it's lost its holiday atmosphere, I feel. It used to be a place where there was a carnival and boating. In fact, I don't know if you just saw the small wall there that created these little pools after the tide came in. You used to be able to go boating in them. I have a memory of my dad taking me out in one of those boats and going over to the corner of one of these pools, poking the oar down. I must have been about 6 or 7 maybe, if I was that. Poking the oar down and touching a giant crab that started to move. It was massive. And my dad said that had been there since he was a boy. Now, if I'm thinking back now, he must have been about in his 30s, early 30s. So for him to be a boy, you're talking about maybe 20 years old. That crab must have been. They said he used to go there when he was a boy and it was still there. You ever get memories like that just stick in your mind? A little snapshot in time, a little moment. It just sticks in your mind. They're great, those moments. And sometimes it's good to come back to the place just to reminisce, especially when your parents are gone now. It's one of those days, weather-wise, it's cooled down a bit. It was 15 degrees centigrade in the car on my way here. There's a little bit of a wind. I've got my jacket on, but kind of too hot for a jacket, but too cold without the jacket, if you know what I mean. It's one of those days. I love the peacefulness of being down at the coast, listening to the water, the waves lapping against the beach. The simple things in life, eh? Not your gadgets, your fancy cars, your big houses, your TVs, your PlayStations, whatever. Listening to the waves, looking at the trees, the animals. They're the things that really count. Wherever you go on the west coast of Scotland on the beach, the Ailsa Craig is always present in the distance. Look at this old wooden railway bridge. That must be a few years old. This is Saltcoats' main thoroughfare now. I remember when I was a boy, this place would be jumping during the summer. Every day, Monday to Sunday. And that's your local Weatherspoons in Saltcoats, the Saltcoat. I can't even find a Greggs here. I thought it was the law that every town in Scotland should have a Greggs. What a lovely looking roundabout that is. The War Memorial in the middle. Let's go and have a look. 1922 to 2022. It says here it's the Saltcoats War Memorial, winner of the Royal British Legion Scotland Best Kept War Memorial Competition 2006. The names of the dead during the Second World War 39 to 45. In memory of the men of Saltcoats who sacrificed their lives in the Great War, 1914-1918. So both wars are commemorated here. Up there is the soldier with his bayonet. It's kept very nice indeed. Roundabouts are great places for really dressing up a town. This is really nice. Well looked after. Loads of colour. Look, the names of the dead all wrapped all the way around. Absolutely lovely. Definitely a highlight in Saltcoats. I remember getting into that cafe over there, the Melbourne, although I don't know if that's what it was called, way back in the early 70s. I remember walking up that street there with my mum and dad, and my sister, and getting in there. See these little memories that just stick in your mind. Snapshots in time, nothing spectacular, nothing, over exciting, just a little moment in time that you always remember. Even all the flower boxes going along here, really nice. He says there's a bin lorry just passes by. I found out there is a Greggs in Saltcoats, and I thought to myself, why am I wanting to go to Greggs when I should be going to a local baker? And there's one over there, the candy bar. By the way, if you're ever in Saltcoats and you like Indian food, I highly recommend this place, Motherland Spice. I've been in there before and it's absolutely gorgeous and very, very reasonable. Eating sausage rolls in the car is always a dodgy business. So always use a paper plate. One bite from a sausage roll outside and one flake falls off. But if you take a bite inside a car, you're up to your neck in flaky flakes before you know it. See what I mean? I've just put the sausage roll down and there's about 40 flakes already. Anyway, I'll enjoy this, look out at the scenery, and then we'll get back to looking at the beach. Well, that sausage roll was absolutely amazing. It was actually better than Greggs. I've found that ever since Greggs have reduced the salt intake on their sausage rolls, they're nowhere near as good anymore. And that strawberry tart was, so nice. I was thinking of getting another 4, and that would cover me for my 5 a day. I'm going to head up here and look at the harbour, Ardrossan Harbour. I believe it's out of commission at the moment because it's getting some work done to it. I'm going to pop up and have a look and see what's been going on. See if we can see anything different. This is where the train line ends. Right there. Look at the size of that big thing. It looks incredibly deserted here. I wonder if any work is going on. It is looking a bit dated, isn't it? The ticket office. Needs a good clean at least. Yeah, here's the old harbour on a Monday afternoon. The seawall over there with Arran behind poking up. This place is usually rammed full of cars parked at this time in July. Look what's happened to the wall here. It's smashed down. Some of the sandstone bricks lying on the ground. Is that the waves that's done that, or was it the boat? Anyway, back to Saltcoats. Saltcoats can be traced back to the 1200s when the monks of Kilwinning Abbey discovered coal seams along the coast. This was ideal for creating heat to evaporate seawater and create salt. 300 years later, in the 1500s, King James V sanctioned cottages to be built along the coast to bring an industry, salt pans, and hence Saltcoats got its name. Don't know if you can see over there, but that's Ailsa Craig. Told you, you always see it wherever you are on the west coast of Scotland, down in Ayrshire. Got a little souvenir. You can't smell this obviously, but there's a smell of seaweed, but a nice smell. Fresh seaweed. In 1528, Saltcoats was granted the status of a borough, and this led to a market. By the 1600s, Saltcoats' primary source of income was the import of corn and butter, and the selling of herring, mostly to Iceland, which is roughly away somewhere up there. By the 1800s, shipyards started popping up, and they produced between 60 and 70 ships. By the early 1800s, the shipbuilding was beginning to cease, and recreation and leisure took over. Saltcoats was developed into a seaside town for visitors and tourists to come, and that was the case for over 100 years. But of course, like everywhere else, with the onset of cheap air travel to the Mediterranean in the 60s and early 70s, Saltcoats began to go into decline, like many other seaside towns. This is the beach here at Ardrossan Harbour, and right over there is Arran. When the ferry leaves from Ardrossan Harbour to go over to Brodick, the trip only takes 55 minutes, but now it takes a lot longer because it has to come up the coast from Troon. I think it's over an hour 15, I think, maybe longer. In fact, away in the distance there, I don't know if my phone will pick this up. That looks like the ferry there, heading over to Arran from Troon. Another event in my life that I remember when I was a young kid. I mean, I don't know, 10-year-old, 12 maybe. My mum and dad, my sister and I sitting on the beach at Saltcoats. And my dad said all of a sudden, right folks, we need to go. I said, why Dad? We don't want to go, we don't want to go. He said, look, and he pointed out to the sea, and it was the darkest of clouds, massive black cloud coming in. He said, there's a storm coming and we need to move. And I remember the excitement as a little kid, packing up and starting to run because this storm was coming in at some rate. And I remember us going home in the train, and the rain was absolutely bouncing off the train windows. We had just made it onto the train. Another little memory that stuck in my mind. So although Saltcoats is nowhere near what it used to be, I've got very fond memories of Saltcoats. And when you come to a place where you have the memories, it brings it all back. Do you have anywhere where you have fond memories of? I'd love to hear it. Maybe you live abroad now, maybe you live in America, you live in Canada, and you used to come here as a kid. Saltcoats, Ardrossan, Troon, Largs, Weems Bay. I'd love to hear. I love hearing people's stories. By the way, if you're ever on the beach, there's only one thing you should leave behind. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.